Yeah. Uh, Sh- Shraddha? Yeah.
Yeah, we're on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so good evening, everybody, and thank you so much, Say Cheese, for having me here to interact with all these wonderful ladies. Before we begin, I would just want to tell you, let's keep this a little interactive. If you're open to sharing, if you are not, try and put it in the chat box. And if you have any queries, also you can put them in the chat box. And at the end of the session, I'll try to answer them. And if possible, please sit with a notepad and a pen. Okay, so let me begin by telling you a short story. There was this girl who was fresh out of management school, and she joined a nice little corporate firm and she started working there. After a few years, she felt the need to explore a little more, and she started contemplating quitting. She did leave, and with a backpack on her back and a mind full of curiosity, she set out to explore the other side of the world. Now, while she was walking, she was examining her surroundings and she wasn't really looking where she was going. And there was a hole, a black hole in the middle of the road, and she fell into the hole. Now, this hole was big enough, she couldn't have come out of it herself. So initially, she just sat there and thought, and she was quite confident that she'd come out of it on her own. But as time passed by, she started getting a little scared and hungry, and she thought, let me at least try and call out for help. And that's what she did. There was a man walking past who heard her, and he looked inside and said, don't worry, I will try and help you. He got a small stick from the side of the road and tried to get her out from the hole using that stick, but unfortunately it didn't work. He said, I'm so sorry, I couldn't help you, and I really have to go now. And he walked on. This girl kept asking for help, calling out for help, and there was an old lady who was walking past. She looked inside and she first asked the girl to calm down. And then she sat on the edge of the hole and started giving her suggestions as to how she could possibly get out of it. Unfortunately, those didn't work either. And this lady got up and said, I'm sorry, I'm very tired, I have to get home. And she walked on as well. Now, this girl was getting a little desperate now. She kept on calling out for help. And it so happened that a girl was walking past, another girl was walking past on the road, and she looked inside. And she looked at her and said, you have got yourself into a little pickle. And this girl inside the hole said, yes, I have. And can you please help me out, get out of this hole? So this girl said, okay, don't worry, I will definitely help you out. And saying this, even she promptly jumped inside the hole. Now, this girl who was already in the hole was a little taken aback. She said, I was asking for help because I was stuck in the hole, and now we are both stuck in the hole. The girl who had just jumped in said, don't worry, I have been in this hole before, and I know exactly how to get out. Now, this story is a little metaphorical, which I'm sure you guys have picked up by now. A coach can help you get from where you are to where you want to be. But a coach can very, very effectively help you make a change if he or she has been on a similar road as you are walking on. So on this note, since I have already been introduced, I'm a transformational coach, and I'm going to take you through a short journey of goal setting. Now, when I say goal, I would like you to understand that it is not goal in the technical aspect of it, like we learn in economics or in any other HR related class. Here in our lives, goal means anything that we are planning to accomplish or even make a small change in our habits, in our lifestyle, in our behavior, in our ideas. A goal is anything that we want to achieve. We are using the word goal, and we are going to talk about what is it that you really want. But before I move on to that, let me just please share my screen. Is my screen visible, Nabila?
Yes, it is.
All right, thank you. So before we move on to that, I'm sure all of us would agree that we are in the middle of, most of us are in the middle of multitude of roles and responsibilities. Basically life as it happens, we are always stuck in the middle of all of these responsibilities around us. But sometimes there comes a time when you feel the need to add more meaning to your individuality, to become a little more self-aware of who you really are and break through your limiting beliefs and self-doubts. I'm sure you guys agree that there are certain times when you feel that, sometimes you need to take a step back. So why is it important? Why am I even talking about self-awareness? Is because what you really want is very, very closely integrated with who you actually are, right? So self-awareness helps you with the knowledge of who you are and therefore what is it that you want. It obviously helps you identify your key strengths, your abilities, what you're actually good at. It empowers you to understand what is it that you should do with what you feel and what is going on inside of you, right? And it definitely adds value to your relationships and perceptions and therefore your experiences. We are only going to today discuss a little bit about who you are and what you want, just one aspect of the self-awareness part. So let's start by introducing ourselves. If I were to ask you to introduce yourself, how would you start? If you want, you could put something in the chat box if you're open to it. How would you introduce yourself? Anyone? All right. Chances are you would say, I'm a designer, I'm an artist, I am a singer, I'm an analyst, I'm a doctor, I'm a lawyer, right? But these are things that you do. This is not who you really are. There are some people who also introduce themselves by, say, I'm a mother of two, I am a sister, a wife, a daughter. Again, these are your relationships. This is not really who you are. See, we are used to identifying ourselves with all these labels. We live in this shell of labels. We are we have avatars dawned on us, and we use that to identify ourselves, and our identities are created through these avatars. There's nothing wrong with that. That's how you generally introduce yourself. But it is important to be mindful of who you really are beneath the layers of these avatars and these roles that you play. So today, let's do something. Let's try to unlabel ourselves. Let's see if we can create an introduction without using any of these labels. So who are you underneath all these labels of what you do, who you are, what you do, what your relationships are, what your responsibilities are? You are what you love, what you care about, what your beliefs are, what drives you, and what your happy places, and some of all of this. So your name is also a label, but we'll stick to that because it's a part of your core identity. For example, I'm Shraddha. I love to sing and read. I love the sound of raindrops, laughter, and ocean. I believe that every person is exceptional in his or her own way. This is just an example. But you know me a little better. I know me a little better after doing this. So what I want to do here is I want to encourage each one of you to create an unlabeled version of your introduction. I understand and I'm mindful of the fact that you will probably not be using this when you introduce yourself to strangers, but it is very important that you get to know yourself and are mindful of that. So this sheet here will help you do that. I will be, the team Sages will send it out to you after this session. Please do use this sheet, create a version of an unlabeled introduction of your own self. It's a small little tool of self-discovery. So now I want to come again to wants and needs. So we have always heard of what wants are, what needs are. Needs are your food, shelter, clothing. But here, when I say needs, I mean something a little more deep rooted. What I mean is, all of us have inherent needs which are based on the kind of person we are. We have inherent needs which is based on our value system, how we have been brought up, the kind of individual you are, the kind of human being that you are. And wants are, well, wants, what you want, what you desire. Now, when these needs and wants are well integrated, there is a synergy in the efforts that you make towards what is it that you are striving for. But if it is not integrated, there might be a little bit of restlessness. You might feel something is missing, or what is happening that I'm not able to reach my goal. Right? I'll give you an example. So I had this client who came to me and he said that whatever, because of his interpersonal experiences and his past, he said that I do not want any relationships. I want to be single. I don't want to get into a codependent relationship anymore. So there was a lot of self-awareness and self-acceptance work that we were doing together. And after a couple of sessions, it became very clear, because we did some work on his value system, and it became very clear that his inherent need is codependence. His inherent need is long-term companionship. Now, what he wanted was to not have companionship. However, there was a need that made him who he is, and that was long-term companionship. And there was where all his, that discontentment was coming from. So it is important to understand what your inherent needs are. So self-awareness makes you empowered with this knowledge, makes you aware of this little sweet spot, which is a combination of what you need and what you want. And that will help you in creating a more effective, more powerful goal for self. So your self-awareness journey, this is primarily how coaching works and coaching journeys would begin with self-discovery, self-awareness. So as soon as you're aware of your own self, it leads to self-acceptance. Now here, this is a main part of your journey, self-acceptance, accepting yourself the way you are, along with your flaws and your strengths, your drawbacks and your abilities, all of it, 100%, no conditions. Accept the way you accept yourself the way you are. Self-awareness leads to self-acceptance. Self-acceptance is followed by how you can be a better version of your own self. Play on your strengths and be a better version of your own self. And that is where, ladies, real growth lies. So this is a circle. It is a continuous process. It's not just a linear process like this. But setting a goal and doing something is about becoming a better version of your own self, and not just working on your weaknesses or trying to eliminate your weaknesses. It is about 100% accepting yourself the way you are, and then trying to improvise. Then the game becomes about only becoming a better version of your own self, right? Now let's come to the main part of this session. What do you really want? This question has too many answers. It can have too many answers. What is it that you really want, right? And the answers can be a little overwhelming. However, it is important to understand and deep dive into what is it that you want, what is your goal, before you start working towards it, right? So to simplify this particular process, I am going to take you through something that is, I'm sure most of you might have also gone through this, something that's called the life wheel. All right, the wheel of life. Now, this is a very powerful decision-making tool, prioritizing tool, and it's a very popular tool among coaches. And there's a reason for that, because it is so powerful and it's very agile. It works with anyone and everyone, and it gives you a very clear-cut snapshot of where you are. What is it that you are experiencing at this point in time? So if you have a pen and paper and if you want to do this along with me, you can. If not, if you want to do it at your own pace, I will have to go a little fast, but if you want to do it at your own pace, you can do it later. What you need to do is create a circle with spokes like this. This is your wheel of life. What you need to populate inside this, all of these spokes, is what comprises in your life. What is it that forms you and what are you a part of? So these are just some examples of what it could be, right? Your family, your work, health, spirituality, children, whatever it is that you want to put, think and create your life wheel, right? There are 8 parts in this particular wheel. You can increase or reduce them as per your need, but try and include everything that is a part of your life, even if you're thinking about it. So for example, if health is a part of your mind, you have still not been able to do much in that area, let it be a part of your wheel, right? Now, it would look something like this. This is just an example, a specimen wheel. Yours might look a little different. After you have populated this wheel, make a scale like is shown on the slide here. 1 beginning at the center of the circle and 10 on the circumference of the circle. This is a scale that you will use to weigh your level of satisfaction with each of these parts of your life, right? It could, for example, health and fitness again. If you're not happy with the way you are doing in that particular part of your life, rate it at a 2 or a 1. So the whole point I'm trying to make here is try and be a little extreme so that you get a good idea of what is it that you want to focus on. So it could be something like this. Rate each and every part of your wheel of life, and this will give you a clear-cut reality snapshot, your current reality snapshot. It could change 2 years down the line. Your wheel of life will look absolutely different, but your current wheel will show you where you stand in terms of all the aspects and areas of your life. Once you are done weighing these, think about what it's telling you. Just study your way. This is you, this is your life. Study the way it looks. And then try and find your focus. Ask yourselves these questions. Which is the most satisfying part of your life? And what makes it so satisfying? Why are you so happy with this particular part of your life? What is it that you are doing that you are so satisfied with this particular part of your life? Which is the least satisfying and why? Why are you not happy with this particular aspect of your life? And if that is the least satisfying aspect of your life, would you like to focus on it at this point in time? Why we did this was, if, for example, career is among the least satisfying aspects of your life, would you like to focus on that area and create a goal in that particular area? Right? Because when we try and understand what is it that we want a lot of things. But it is important to understand what is it that I want now. What is it that I want to focus on right now? And since this is a wheel, the rest of the aspects will also get affected, right? So which part of your life would you like to focus on? So if it's not the least satisfying aspect, which part? Use this wheel to understand where you want to focus and how you want to set your goal. Now that we are talking about setting our goal, let's start doing that. How do you set your goal? What is it that you really want? Okay, there are 3 types of goals, all right? There is a being goal, a doing goal, and a having goal. So I want to be XYZ. I want to do more in terms of my health, or I want to have something, own something, right? So being, doing, and having. Now, I would encourage you to jot down the goals while I'm saying, when you are setting your goal, just be mindful of these things. Let your goals be single point statement. Like, for example, I want to lose 10 kgs in 2 months. It's a good goal. It's a single point, one statement. I want to be more productive and responsible is a layered goal. It does not help you focus on what is it that you want. I want to be more responsible with regards to my health, or I want to be more productive at home or at work is a good goal. Separate the two. Okay, you can have any number of goals. You can have 2 goals, 3 goals, 5 goals, 50 goals at this point. All right. So single point goals. Second is no negatives. I don't want to do this, or I don't want to be so frustrated all the time. I don't want to be so angry all the time. Flip it to a positive. What is it that you want instead? It'll give you your goal. So if you don't want to be frustrated, what is it that I want to be more calm at work or at home? That can be your goal. And last, but one of the most important points is make it about you. It is the locus of control of the goal has to lie within you. So I want my boss to realize how much effort I'm putting in. It cannot be your goal. The locus of control does not lie with you. You cannot control anyone's behavior, honestly. I want to be more assertive about my achievements at work. Yes, that can be your goal. That is your goal. So make it about you. So single point statement, no negatives, and the locus of control of the goal has to lie within yourself. Make a list of what is it that you want to do, have, or be. Let the goals go into 20s. It's fine. Obviously, there are more than one things that we want, right? But after that, you need to study your goals. We have to select one goal because you cannot work on multiple goals. Select one goal, funnel out your goals, study your goals. What talks to you? What is it telling you? And what really resonates with you? What do you want to do right now? What is it that you're all right to work on at this point in time? What is it? What is the change that you are willing to make now? And what kind of talks to you? What is it that stands out for you? That will give you your goal. Do this exercise, even if you think you are pretty clear on what is it that I want. Still do this exercise. It will give you more clarity. And if nothing, it will just endorse the fact that yes, you're on the right path. You are going in the right direction. Right? So now that your goal is set, okay, what do you do now? The only thing that's left to do is do things towards your goal, right? Make efforts towards reaching your goal. However, unfortunately, all of us know that from where we are to where you want to go, it's a long road. There are going to be setbacks and challenges and unforeseen circumstances like we are in the middle of. All of us are going through it right now. We cannot really control the external environment all the time. So whenever you are on a journey from point A to point B, it is important to understand and acknowledge the fact that there is going to be some sort of unwarranted direction. It is going to be there. It is something that we see success in others. We do not see the struggle behind it, right? And that's why there is somewhere in our heads, we have thought of point A to point B as a linear journey, which it's never that way. So what do we do in this situation? So we all have these big dreams, right? So we have been told, dream big, reach for the stars, even if you don't get the stars in your hand, you'll at least, whatever that saying is. And those are beautiful words. And I am all for big dreams. I think having big dreams is great. However, it is very important to understand and acknowledge the fact that the road to that big dreams needs effort and time. And we need to plug that part in the entire journey. So
once I'm done, we'll do it together. But you keep this.
Can we mute everybody? Is it possible? Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so I was saying that there is merit in breaking up that dream into smaller goals, right? If you have small goals, if you have smaller milestones to reach, it gives you a clearer picture of the path that you need to take. So your main goal will be your main goal. Let it be that your dream is very, very valid, very, very justified, but break it up so that you understand how to move towards that particular goal. Think of it as one goal post on some top of the mountain where you can see other little colorful flags reaching up to that. So these are all your small little goal posts. I'll just give you an example. So I had this client who hadn't worked for a long time, but she was a very good baker. And it was her dream to open a bakery of her own, and she wanted to have a couple of chefs under her and all of that. So very beautiful dream, and she was actually good at what she wanted to do. So we were talking, and she had figured out an entire plan of how she is going to upskill herself, bring herself to a point where she can serve others. And she got herself trained, and she started working towards her goal. Now, we didn't speak for a few months, and then I just was checking in on her, and she told me, no, I'm not doing it anymore. I've given up on that. And then I said, no, let's talk about it. What is it that happened? And we realized that she was looking at that dream, all right, and she was making an effort. Now that effort was a wholehearted one. She had put herself out there, and she was getting 2 or maximum 3 orders in a week. And she said, at this rate, I'm never going to reach my dream, right? And she gave up on it. Obviously, the translation of her efforts to the main dream would have taken that kind of time and that kind of effort. The problem is that we see the dream and we work hard and we imagine it to translate immediately into that big dream that we are looking at. And it doesn't happen, and we get demotivated to try even further. So my mantra is very clear. Big dreams, small goals. Dream big, no problem, but create smaller goals. What it will always also do for you is give you a good picture of where you are after each milestone, and it will give a momentum to your movement towards your goal. So every time you reach or you achieve a smaller goal, you will feel accomplished. You can celebrate that, right? And then move forward. Now, what else happens in most of these journeys towards our goal is something inevitable, and that is failure. Dealing with failure, in my opinion, is one of the most important life skills that we can teach anybody, especially our children. Unfortunately, it is not taught in any schools or universities. We are taught about success, how to be successful. But what about the time when we are not successful? And those times are going to come. It is going to happen. Anybody who sets out to do anything of some value is going to encounter failure, is going to encounter a challenge or a setback. So if you have faced that, understand that that's because you have tried to do so, attempted to do something, and you have just failed, right? While we cannot foresee each and every type of failure, we cannot predict, we cannot plan and predict anything. But what we can do definitely is prepare ourselves when something like this happens. Prepare ourselves to deal with something like this. It is going to happen. Setbacks are a part of any journey that you begin to take. Challenges are going to be there. Changes are going to be there, right? And you have to have the adaptability to kind of go on towards your goal. It's a very simple thing that I keep telling everybody. Accept the fact that you have failed, learn from it, but most important, still carry on. Go on, change your approach if you need to, but don't stop on account of having failed. There is going to be fear of failure. Nobody can really stop. Everybody, each one of us has a fear of failure. Each one of us has it. but the choice that you make as opposed to the person next to you is, do you want to be brave in the face of that fear, right? So being brave is a choice that you are making. But before you go on and start again, or start a different approach, or try something else towards your goal, of course, just answer these 3 questions. What will I do differently this time? How will things change, right? What is the one thing that you learned from it? I'm 100% sure you learn from each and every mistake or failure that you have encountered. And how did I grow as a person? As soon as you have answers to these, believe me, you will be in a better place. You will be in a better position to again start going towards your goal. Another thing that you have to and should do, I'm sure all of us know this, is track your progress. But tracking your progress is 2-pronged. One is relevance and one is time. Any goal without a time or a deadline or a time frame is not really a goal in itself. It's not a powerful goal. Every time you cross a milestone or reach somewhere, track yourself in terms of relevance. Am I doing the right thing? Is this the best that I can do? Is it the best practices am I following? And is it relevant towards my bigger goal, towards my bigger dream? Is my bigger dream still relevant? So track your goal in terms of relevance and time. Yes, I mean, you have to time each and every, don't be too ambitious there, of course, but time it. In 3 months, I'm going to achieve so and so. In 4 months, I'm going to achieve so and so. Unless and until there is a time given to your goal, the goal will not get the power. It will not get the effectiveness, and it might just fizzle out. I'm sure each one of us has experienced that at some point. So track your progress. This, I have done sessions just on this part. So this is one of my favorite topics, and I can go on, but I will just hurry up because we're really short on time. We always live in this, our lives are framed in a way where we constantly seek acknowledgement and appreciation from external environment. It could be people around us, our relationships, or organizations. We have been brought up that way. We've been engineered like that, right? We always do and say to get some form of validation from outside. There's nothing wrong with it, but when we constantly seek this acknowledgement, this appreciation from an external source, we have to understand that we are setting ourselves up for disappointment. It is not going to always come in the way that you want. So I've had women come and tell me, my husband just does not realize the kind of effort that I am putting in, the kind of sacrifices that I am making. Say you are up for a promotion and you did not get promoted. What do you feel? Anger and disappointment, right? But what it is also doing, there's something else also that's happening here, is that because you were expecting that appreciation, you did not get it, your subconscious mind is taking it as a belief, a limiting belief in your mind, and converting it to a very simple belief: I'm not good enough. Right? When we don't get appreciation from outside, we label ourselves as not being good enough, and constantly throughout our lives, throughout our relationships, throughout our experiences, we somehow take a hit on our sense of self-worth. It's very easy to flip this entire negative feeling into a positive one. Appreciate your own self, acknowledge your own self. How many of us do that? We have been told to not blow your own trumpet. Chane ke jhaad pe mat chad jao. Right? But it is important to understand that unless and until you acknowledge yourself, you cannot expect others to do so. That the logic is warped, right? There's a simple factory relationship. You don't get external appreciation, you appreciate yourself. Appreciate yourself for what you have done or what you have achieved, and then the subconscious receives a positive message, which it converts into a belief. Our subconscious is constantly listening to the messages that you're giving it, right? And converting it to a belief. Why am I doing this in the middle of goal setting is because when you are on your journey, you are your own cheerleader. Understand that. You cannot constantly expect validation and appreciation from people around you. And that should not stop you from moving towards your goal, right? So acknowledge yourself for who you are or what you have done, right? That is a very simple exercise. Just every night before you sleep, write a self-acknowledgement note. You don't have to show it to anybody. If you write a diary, you could probably write inside that just some little, doesn't have to be an earth-shattering achievement. It could be a recipe that you tried, a book that you finished, you know, something, some small little achievement that you made that day. You helped someone, right? Acknowledge yourself every single day. And believe me, you will see a difference in how you perceive your own self. One more thing I would like to touch upon before we more open for question and answer is self-care. We hear about this all the time. What do you think is self-care? What is self-care? You know, self-care is not really about just spas and bubble baths. Okay, it is not about indulging. Self-care is primarily self-discipline. Self-care is primarily valuing yourself enough to do what is good for you, to do what is right for you, right? It is to do something. So for example, I like chocolates, but I cannot really have chocolates every single day. That is not self-care, but because I want to have chocolate, I'm going to have chocolate. Self-care is about eating healthy every day, because you know that's the right thing to do. That is going to be a good thing to do for your own self. That is self-care. So self-care is primarily self-discipline. When you practice self-discipline, it converts into an action which is positive or which is basically good for you. And that again gives you a platform to acknowledge yourself, to appreciate yourself, right? So when you are in the middle of your journey, just be very, very mindful that you are practicing self-discipline. I feel self-discipline is one of the biggest virtues that you can develop within your own self. So when archers aim to shoot, the professional archers, they aim to shoot, there are various factors like wind direction, trajectory, distance, weight of the wind. All of this are going to play a part in making an effective shot, right? When they're aware of all of these, they still try and make a shot, and they succeed also sometimes. This is true of our life goals as well. Failures, obstacles, challenges, change in direction, change in priorities, all of these are factors that are going to be a part of our life. Skill and faith is what will help us accomplish whatever it is that we are striving to achieve. So thank you so much for listening to me. And this was a very short segment on goal setting. I would love to answer any questions that you might have. I have some in the chat. Okay, yes, great representation. Can you please give example of short-term goal and long-term goal? Yes, so Geetika, example of short-term goal and long-term goal. So the example that I gave, let me just stop sharing. Yeah, the example that I gave of this lady who wanted to become a home baker, and she wanted to have a little bakery of her own, was a long-term goal. A short-term goal would have been, have a steady customer base of, say, 20 people in the next 6 months, right? Or maybe the goal could have been in terms of even a month. So create awareness of my services. In 2 months, I should have an Instagram page with X number of followers. So my point is, your short-term goal should be towards your long-term goal, but have smaller milestones, achievable ones, which take into consideration current opportunities, current conditions, your capabilities, and all of your truth about your physical environment. Acknowledging nice session. Thanks. Thank you, Geetika. Thank you for the lovely session. Any other questions?
So, Shraddha, thank you so much. I think a very valuable session. I really loved from the very beginning. It was like, I think, it got us thinking harder from a basic thing of introducing yourself to the
Yeah.
entire reality of the zigzag part that you spoke of.
Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And
Thank you. Thank you,
if
Rajpreet.
our angels, have more questions, we will just communicate it to you. And if you all
Sure.
wish to, connect with Shraddha, please do so. You can tell your happiness managers who are also here, and they will just help you to connect with her and for taking, seeking her advice to help you out in your careers.
Absolutely. So, Rajpreet, thank you so much. Thank you, Team Say Trees, for this wonderful opportunity. And ladies, yes, if you have any queries, please get in touch with the team and they will put you on to me.
Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Shraddha, for this
Thank you.
insightful session. Some points I really enjoyed personally. Before we, end for the day, I would like to make a small announcement. We have a free baking session happening in the next 3 minutes, for which I'm sharing the link in the chat. So, since Shraddha also spoke so much about baking today, I think we should all definitely attend this session in large numbers. I'm just sharing the link. I request everyone to be a part of it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And wishing everyone a happy Mother's Day to all the mothers here and for tomorrow, and enjoy your weekend with your family. So,
Thank you so
Happy
much.
Mother's Day to all.
Happy Mother's Day to all.
thank you. Thank you, Shraddha.
Thank you.